Okay, let's dive right into this. You've handed us quite a bit of material, all focused on something really vital, morale.
Yeah, absolutely central to any group, really.
So our mission today is to unpack what that actually means, why it's more than just people feeling good.
Right. And how it deeply impacts organizations based on what these sources are saying.
Exactly. And the sources, they seem pretty consistent, framing it as an attitude of mind.
An attitude of mind, a willingness to cooperate, almost like an emotional force within the group.
An emotional force. I like that.
Yeah, it lives in people's minds, their emotions. It's shaped by, well, how the group reacts, the whole context. Definitely beyond just the technical side or the money.
It really hits home, doesn't it? That human element. Have you
Yeah.
ever been on a team that just dragged
Yeah.
compared to one with that real spark, that esprit de corps?
Oh, definitely. You can feel the difference.
And these sources argue that difference often it comes down to morale. So what does good or bad morale actually look like, on the ground?
Well, the behaviors are pretty clear indicators, according to these texts. High morale. You see real enthusiasm.
Right.
People voluntarily follow processes, they get why they're needed, they take initiative, like that project team example suggesting improvements. That's
That's
it.
right, proactive.
Exactly. And low morale, well, it's the flip side. Indiscipline, maybe discouragement, people calling in sick more often.
Absenteeism, yeah.
Mhm.
And high turnover, always replacing people, like
Yeah.
those frustrated employees mentioned.
That's it. Really draining. And the ripple effect of that attitude is huge.
How so? What are the main impacts?
It's fundamental. It hits productivity directly, both how much gets done and the quality.
Quality too. Good point.
Yeah, low morale means more mistakes, delays. It costs money. But strong morale, it fosters cooperation. It's called a key ingredient for success.
Like that customer service example.
Perfect example. High morale agents, they'll take that extra minute, solve the problem properly. Low morale. Curt answers, maybe more complaints. Things escalate. It shapes every interaction.
The sources also make a point of distinguishing between a few things, like individual versus group morale.
hmm And morale versus motivation. Important nuances.
Go on.
So individual morale is just one person's outlook. Group morale is the collective feeling, the overall atmosphere. They definitely influence each other. There's this contagion effect mentioned.
Like mood spreading.
Exactly, positive or negative. But the group thing isn't just adding up individual feelings, it's more complex.
Okay. And morale versus motivation.
Right. Morale is more that underlying state of mind, that willingness to cooperate, to be part of the team. Motivation is more the specific drive, the persistence towards a particular task.
So you could have one without the other.
Yeah, the sources suggest that. You could maybe feel good about your team high morale, but be totally unmotivated for a boring report you have to write. Or maybe the opposite.
That's interesting. And it links to productivity. Because high morale doesn't automatically mean high output, does it?
No, not always a straight line. This is where it gets nuanced in the texts. They talk about like 4 types. You've got the ideal, high morale, high productivity. Then, high morale but low productivity may be complacency or fuzzy goals.
Right, coasting a bit.
Then low morale, high productivity that can happen with intense pressure, strict controls, but it's often not sustainable. People burn out.
Like that stressed sales team example, maybe? Hitting targets but miserable?
Could be. And the last one is low morale, low productivity, just stagnation.
So, given how crucial it is, what actually builds morale? What do the sources say works?
It takes intentional effort. Fairness is huge. Transparent HR stuff, how people are hired, how performance is reviewed.
With actual feedback, not just a form.
Yes, regular feedback. And having a clear way to handle grievances quickly, that builds trust, makes people feel valued. It feeds that willingness to cooperate.
And leadership seems critical.
Absolutely foundational. Participative, democratic styles get mentioned. Leaders showing genuine concern, real two-way communication.
Like that department head doing town halls.
Exactly. And recognizing people's contributions regularly, that nurtures the positive emotional force.
Makes sense. What about the overall company vibe, the culture?
Essential. Needs to be positive. Honesty, ethics, teamwork. Creating an environment where people aren't afraid to speak up.
Like that startup example, fostering connections.
And finally, the job itself matters.
How so?
Making the work engaging, giving people some autonomy, responsibility, job enrichment, they call it, clear roles, variety in tasks. If the work feels meaningful, it boosts morale.
The sources also briefly touched on public administration. Any specific challenges there?
Yeah, they mentioned things like sometimes objectives can be a bit ambiguous, or political interference can be a factor.
Okay, so how do you counter that for morale?
Well, the strategies are similar, really defining clearer goals, pushing for ethical leadership, fairness in processes. It all comes back to building trust, really, just reporting what the sources noted there.
Right. So pulling all this together, what's the big picture takeaway on morale from these materials?
I think it's clear. Morale is this really powerful, dynamic force. It's not passive. It's fundamental for cooperation, for success. And crucially, it doesn't just happen.
It's built.
Exactly. It's built and maintained through deliberate actions focusing on people, fairness, communication, making work meaningful.
Which leads to a final thought for you, our listener, inspired by the sources. Elton Mayo apparently called leaders preservers of morale.
Powerful phrase.
So thinking about that, what role do you see yourself playing in maybe fostering or preserving morale in the groups or teams you're part of?
Something to definitely mull over.
Indeed. Thank you for providing the sources for this deep dive.